Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you for your support of Marlo Beauty Supply, as well as your interest in Kadus Color. I'm Elsa Barbie, your education partner, and tonight we'll be joined by Jessica Phillips, our Marlo Beauty Pro Partner. But before we get to meet Jessica, I'd like to introduce to you to Evelyn Ayala. She is Kadus Senior Education Manager, and she will be on hand throughout our whole presentation this evening to answer all your questions that you have about Kadus Professional. I'd like to invite you to utilize that chat box to the right to not only ask Evelyn questions, but to ask our top artist, and we'll try to get to all of your questions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about Jessica Phillips. Jessica Phillips is a master hair colorist, and not only is she a master hair colorist, but she is a 2020 Beauty and Vision Awards Color Artist Finalist. Here she is tonight to be your host on behalf of Marlo Beauty. Welcome, Jessica, and take it away.
Thank you, Elsa. Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to our first virtual event with the professional Kadus Color team. Marlo Beauty is proud to partner with Kadus Color to bring you a program that will show you how to service your clients with excellence. Today, you will learn to utilize multiple techniques and products, from Kadus lighteners to demi-permanent colors. Kadus gives you the products and techniques to make your clients really stand out this fall. Tonight, we will hear from three top Kadus artists, Caroline Kim, Luis Rodriguez, and Toni Garcia-Jackson. Our first Kadus artist tonight is Caroline Kim. Caroline will get us started with her approach to lightening to achieve an amazing bright blonde look. Caroline, over to you.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Caroline Kim and I'm the Global Director for Kadus Professional. I'm live from Los Angeles, so I want to welcome my fellow stylists and a big warm thank you to Marlo Beauty Supply for having me today. So what I want to do today is I want to share with you some of the magic that Kadus Lightener has. And what I'll be using today is our bonding lightener called LightPlex. Now, a client like this, I'm sure you've probably encountered several times, yes? And a lot of times when we see this, we get really scared, not sure what to do, or we overthink it and make it so complicated. So I'm gonna try to break it down, make it really, really simple, share some of my formulas of how I wanna approach this type of color correction. Now remember, the goal for this color correction is not to have a platinum blonde at the end. My goal is to have an even blonde from roots to ends. And that's something that I will share with the client so that they know what their expectation is, just like I shared with you. So again, the goal is to take all these multiple colors, dark roots, grown out, probably, it's been a while since this client's been in the salon. We have a multitude of maybe some previous existing brassiness, a little bit of that faded reddish brown. And then we have the previous blonde from before, which has had a bit of history, a little bit compromised, I would say. So how are we going to approach this? Have a simple technique with different formulas, and it's really all in the application. So let's get started. Now remember, while I'm working, if you have questions, feel free to put it in that chat box and ask me, because I'm a stylist just like you. I work in a salon 5 to 6 days a week. I encounter the same client questions and hair challenges that you do. So don't be afraid to ask me the questions. So let's start with this first panel. So when I start working, what I do is you want to make sure that you have a nice thin, even section. Do you see how thin this is? I can pretty much see through it. It's not too thick. That's going to allow for proper saturation. I'm going to be using 3 formulas today. You can see them right up on the wall. And I'm going to be using our LightPlex, which is our lightener that already has the bond builder in it. So that's what makes it so amazing, is that it allows me to work with a color that protects compromised hair. So it's kind of like an insurance policy. So this first area here is the new growth. So this is virgin hair, dark virgin hair, level 5. This is previous existing color, and here are some faded ends. So how I'm going to approach this is my first formula, I'm going to apply like a virgin bleach application, 1/2 inch away from the scalp, just down to the line of demarcation. So this is my LightPlex, my bond building lightener, that I'm going to apply on the regrowth. And I'm applying it 1/2 inch away from the scalp. I want to bring that down to just about where I see some of this pinkish reddish brown. Now you want to make sure that you thoroughly saturate to get a clear, even lift. Saturation, formulation, and application are the keys. So now in this section here, I'm still going to be using my LightPlex, but what I want is more control. So I'm going to be mixing it with my 4% or 13 volume, which is a lower volume than the 20 volume. And I mixed it in a 1:4 ratio. That means it's 1 part of the lightener to 4 parts of the developer. But see, look at this beautiful, even consistency. What that does is it allows me to control the lift, and it allows me to make sure that that hair isn't compromised. I'm just addressing the previous color that's a little reddish brown, a little faded, could be brassy, could be a little orange. But you see how I seamlessly melted the colors together. And then on the very bottom here, which is my previously kind of ashy, maybe a little dingy previous blonde again, I'm going to be using LightPlex again with 6 volume. That's the lowest volume that we have. And I'm also mixed that in a 1:4 ratio. So that gives me time to let the hair process at a slower rate, gentle lift, and yet I'm able to correct the whole situation all in one strand. Now later on, we're gonna go back and attack the roots, but let's talk about how to kind of address all the multitude of colors that you see. Now I like to work with the foils because I think it keeps it nice and clean and it gives me more control. When we're doing color correction, it's all about control. That's what you want. So you want clean, even sections that you're able to see through, and you want to address the sections based on what you're working with. So again, I'm going to start here on the regrowth. So this section's a little bit shorter, so I'm going to again apply 1/2 inch away from the roots. Now, do you see how you can see how much lightener I'm applying? Saturation is the key. If you don't have even saturation, you're not going to be able to get the desired lift that you want. So don't be afraid, apply generously. I always like to say it's like applying frosting, right? You don't want to be cheated out of that frosting. You don't want to see cake, right? You want frosting. So you want to make sure you see that creamy white consistency right on top. So now here, again, I see some of that brassiness. It's a little bit darker, previous color. I'm going to go ahead and use my LightPlex again, mixed in a 1:4 ratio. So what is LightPlex? It's a lightener that has the bond builder in it. Gives me insurance. It has the ProPlex technology. So what it does is it actually strengthens the bonds in the hair as you're lightening. So again, I don't really have to do anything. The lightener does all the work for me. And at the end of the day, I look like a rock star with my client. And on the very ends, I'm applying LightPlex again with 6 volume, the lowest volume developer, mixed in a 1:4 ratio. And it's okay, you can blend the lighteners together. It'll give you a seamless transition. I'm gonna work my way up the head. Now what happens if you get to a section where there's not too much of that brassiness, or there's more brassiness? You can always go ahead and weed out the areas like this. So this section has more brass. This section really doesn't have any. So the formulation and the application will be a little bit different there as well. So when you're working, you want to go slowly and have control. Color correction is all about taking control. Trust me, I've tried to cheat sometimes, doesn't work. Never a good idea. So again, 1/2 inch away from the roots there. Pulling it down to here because there's really no brassiness in this section of the hair. And now I have the porous ends, which I'm going to use the 6 volume and just marry that together. So do you see how I did that? It was selective. I'm applying the proper formula in the areas that need it. Now I'll take my foil, place it right on top, and I'm going to take that remaining section right here that had more of that brassiness. So this one is going to have all 3 formulas because I'm attacking 3 different challenges on the head.
Evelyn, we actually have a question coming in from Esther.
Okay.
Hi, she actually wants to know, how do you keep your foils in place?
I'm sorry, Elsa, can you repeat that?
Sure, how do you keep your foils in place?
How do I keep my foils in place? So I'm just stacking the foils right on top of the previous section. So I don't really need to be folding it. I'm just reutilizing it and just kind of sandwiching, just layering it right on top because the lightener will work as an adhesive and that will keep the lightener and keep the foil in place as I work.
Awesome, thank you, Caroline.
Now, so you see that I've used 3 different formulas. I'm going to continue working my way up the head as I continue and follow what the sections are. Now, how do I continue to use the magic of this lightener? Well, this is the first step, right? We want to have proper formulation. We want to have proper saturation and application, attacking the target areas of what your challenges are. Now, this is going to give you up to 7 levels of lift. But remember, some of the areas don't necessarily need 7 levels of lift because I'm just trying to get an even tone blonde. We all know that when we do color correction, your end result is going to be a warm blonde. Don't be afraid of that. Prepare your client and just know that's what your expectation is going to be. You're going to end up with a warm blonde, but that's okay. Warm blonde is okay. The goal, remember, is to have an even blonde from roots to ends. Once you have that palette, you can then go ahead and tone to get a cooler blonde, or you can enhance it to get a warmer blonde. But you have to have an even palette from roots to ends in order for you to go on to the next step. So just keep that in mind and don't try to aim for platinum right away. We're aiming for color correction, evenness with great, healthy, shiny hair. So for that foil question, I've already applied this. I'm just gonna take my foil and I'm just gonna sandwich it and lay it right on top. And you can see I don't have to crease it or anything. And it just allows me to continuously work up the head as we go. Now, there's a couple more steps to this lightener. So this is my application technique, yes? So I'm gonna continue to work all the way up the head. Now, depending on how comfortable you feel with color correction and how experienced you are, remember, color correction is all about control and timing. You have to be able to manipulate the hair in a way that you feel safe and comfortable and not going to compromise the hair. So if you are able to apply fairly quickly and the client doesn't have a lot of hair, she's got really long hair and it's kind of like Chewbacca-ish, you might want to do this in 2 separate steps, meaning you might want to finish this application, allow it to process. Once it's even, then you can rinse the client out and go back and apply to the scalp. Because we know that that scalp application will lift to the level that we want with no hindrance at all. We want to make sure we control this area where we have a lot of that color correction challenges. However, if you feel comfortable or your client doesn't have too much density, or you have an assistant that you can work with, then you can, once you finish this application, you can go ahead and go back and just do an application on the scalp and let all of that process at the same time. Remember, this is not about speed and it's not a race. It's about applying properly so your final results are exactly what you want. So I will let this process, again, up to 50 minutes, 50, or until I get the proper desired lift that I'm looking for. And what I'm looking for is an even lift from roots to ends, or at least from this section where I started down to the ends. That's what I'm looking for. Once I've achieved that, I will then take my client to the shampoo bowl and we start the magic of number 2, which is going to be the neutralizer. So you will rinse out all of the lightener at the shampoo bowl. You will apply the neutralizer, or step 2, which will help the hair neutralize and rebuild the bonds at the shampoo bowl for about 10 minutes. So what I like to do is I like to let the client relax in the bowl, and during that time is when I decide what toners I'm going to be using or what my next formula will be. So I utilize those 10 minutes in the back bar, mixing up my toner formula, bring on my bowls, and then when I come back, you are ready to go ahead and then shampoo the client out. After you shampoo the client, that's when you can go ahead and decide if you want to tone or see what you have to work with and decide on your next steps. Now remember, all about color correction is about control and following the steps. Don't rush it. Take it step by step, because your client, the client's hair, and your heart and your mind will thank you, because there's no panicking and you'll know exactly what you're doing. And that's one of the reasons I love this bonding system, because it makes it easy for me. I don't have to adjust my developer formula. I can use the lightener exactly the way that it is, straight out of the packaging. I don't have to compensate for anything. The bond building is already in here, so my insurance is already here. And I love the fact that it's white in color. So when I'm doing color correction, it's perfect because I know exactly what my end result will be. I don't have to worry about, oh, is it light enough? Did I get it in the right spots? I can easily check to see if my lightener is working and I'm getting the correct level of lift that I want. Now remember, I said, I'm not looking for super platinum blonde. I'm looking for an even toned blonde. So when I show you the results of this, it's not going to be platinum blonde, but it's going to be a warm blonde, because that is what you would get when you do color correction. It's always going to be warm. But the warm will give you a beautiful base to work with. And that's when you can go ahead and decide where you want to take your client. But it's all about attacking the proper challenges on the head. So remember, I used 3 formulas to target 3 different areas. I'm going to show you. Again, just to recap, new growth, natural hair, I'm going to be using the LightPlex with 20 volume mixed in a 1:2 ratio. That means 1 part lightener to 2 parts of the developer. So 1 ounce of lightener to 2 ounces of developer. I'm going to bring that down to the area that's a little bit brassy, a little reddish brown, could be a little orangey. I'm going to apply my LightPlex with 4% or 13 volume, and that's mixed in a 1:4 ratio. The 1:4 ratio allows me to have control. It helps me to slow down a little bit of the lifting process because it is previously colored, compromised hair. Again, I'm going to marry it to the previous lightener. So do you see how you see all that white creamy consistency? That's what you want to look for. You don't want to see the hair strand through. And on the very ends, where it's a little bit dingy, a little dishwatery, I'm going to add my lowest volume, 6 volume, also mixed in a 1:4 ratio. Now, after this application is completed, you have the option of going back in and applying the 20 volume at the regrowth and letting that process until you have an even result from roots to ends. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can wait for this to process, rinse her out, come back, and you can apply on just the scalp. So that's up to you based on how you feel and how much hair and density you're working with. So I'm going to take her off and I'm going to show you what the final result or what your goal is when you're doing something like this. So remember, You want a warm blonde. So here is my final result. This is what you're looking for. This is a blonde that has not been toned, but you can see that it's even from roots to ends. With this base, you can now decide if you want to take this client warmer or cooler, all based on what your consultation resulted in. So I hope that helped. I hope that gave you some insight in how to use LightPlex, a little bit of color correction techniques that you can put in your back pocket, maybe make you a little bit more comfortable working with compromised or challenging hair. And yeah, I just want to make it simple and easy for you. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight, and a big shout out to Marlo Beauty for having me as well.
And Caroline, we have some great questions coming in. Thank you so much for that segment. One question was from Lisa. She wants to know, what is your favorite toner combo?
I have a lot of favorite toner combos, Lisa. I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve. My favorite one for like a silvery platinum blonde, which I use for myself, would be in the Kadus Demi-Permanent, which is the 10 PA, 10 Pearl Ash. Right over here. It's the 10 Pearl Ash. And I like to put just a drop of the PP, which is a blue additive, and mixing that with 1.9 or the 6 volume developer. And that'll give you a nice kind of like shimmery, silvery platinum blonde. It's what I use for my toner. So that's one of my favorites. I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. What a great segment. Thank you so much. Jessica, back to you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Now let's meet Luis Rodriguez. He's an amazing colorist. So let's see how he transforms his pre-lightened mannequin using Kadus's Demi-Permanent color line. Luis, take it away for us.
Hello, my fellow stylists and my friends at Marlo Beauty. I'm Luis Rodriguez, Kadus Design Team Professional, coming to you from Pennsylvania. But let me show you how I started with my beautiful mannequin head, Brittany, and how adding pops of colors and some toning using Kadus Demi-Permanent hair color, I turned this doll into a beautiful fashion model. So let's get right to it. As you can see, this is Miss Brittany, and to recreate the look that I'm about to show you at the end of my segment, the first thing you have to do, hi Melissa, the first thing you have to do is that you have to create a triangular shape on the top back of the head like so. Once you create that triangle, this is going to be very easy and very fun. What we're going to do is that we're going to add some slices following the triangular shape. And I'm going to show you exactly what I am talking about. Let me just put these gloves on for you guys. All right, I'm going to be using the Kadus Demi-Permanent hair color on the shade 5VV, which is a light brunette with a violet, with an intense violet tone to it. And I mix the 5BB with the clear in a 1:4 grams mixing ratio. I used 1 gram of the 5BB and 4 grams of the clear, and I mixed that with 2 parts of 6 volume developer. So our Demi-Permanent hair color, it's formulated in a 1:2 mixing ratio, which means 1 ounce of color and 2 ounces of the developer. Okay, so now that you already have your triangular shape done, let me turn this down so that you can see. I'm just gonna follow that triangle, and I am going to apply, using a foil, my formula. And I'm going to do 3 back-to-back slices using the Kadus Demi-Permanent hair color. I'm gonna apply this from root to ends. And today I'm only doing 3 on each side, and you will see how the end result looks, but you can get creative and you can add more or less. As you can see, I'm using kind of like very fine sections to apply this color and make sure that you saturate well. All right, Kadus Semi-Permanent Hair Color has two developers. It has a 6 volume and a 13 volume. Being the 6 volume, the one that you want for a gentle deposit, and the 13 volume gives you more of an intense final result, okay? And so there you go. I'm gonna close this foil, just closing the sides, leaving this part without making it flat so that the color process very nice and even. And I'm just gonna use one clip to clip it up and continue my application with my next foil. One of the things I love about the Kadus Semi-Permanent Hair Color is that it gives you long-lasting results, multi-dimensional shine, and it has a great fragrance. And it is also ammonia-free, so it's gentle to the hair. You can use it to tone, you can use it to cancel unwanted warm tones, or you can use it to enhance warm tones. As you can see, that's what I'm doing today. Brittany, my beautiful model, I started her, as you can see, as a level 8, which is a light, kind of like natural blonde with some warmth into it. And so instead of going against, I am going in favor. Especially nowadays, you know, you want to be able to work with what your client has, being the fact that we want to work smarter, not harder. So that's why I decided to enhance her warm color. This is going to be my last foil here. And I am using very fine sections that you can even see kind of like my fingers through. You should be able to read a book, if you will. And I'm just gonna add my last foil on this side. And the formula that I'm using is the Kadus Semi-Permanent Hair Color on the shade 5BV, which is a light brunette with an intense violet tone to it. So this is gonna be the pop of color that I am going to be adding on this beautiful model to create a fun and modern look in a very easy way. And we're gonna lock that in. All right, and I'm gonna go to the other side and we're gonna do another 3 quick foils, and I'm gonna show you how the end result looks. I know, so exciting, guys. Thank you so much for all of your comments. Let me just make sure that you are looking at this very well. I love this technique because it's very easy and it's gonna have a high impact. And one of the things I love when I'm working behind this year is to be able to do that. And with Kadus Professionals, you're able to do anything you want. We have 35 different semi-permanent shades that you can use. Amongst my favorites, for example, for a platinum blonde, I love the 8PA. What I like to do when I use the 8PA is that I like to lift the hair up to a level 10, and then I go in and I use my 8PA from root to ends, and I let it process for 20 minutes. The Kadus Semi-Permanent Hair Color processes for up to 20 minutes, but if you want to do something quicker than that, you can use any heat source and you can process for only 10 minutes.
Luis, we have a question coming in.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. We have Hair by Andigo. Would like to know about how far apart are you actually placing the foils?
Oh, that is a great question. Thank you so much for that question. I am actually using a 1/4 inch subsections. I am not leaving any hairs in between. I'm going back to back. And so there's no distance in between each foils. They are right one right after the other, and I'm only doing 3. And what this look is going to look like at the end, it's going to frame the client's face frame. And now I am going to place my last foil on this side. As you can see, guys, this has been really, really easy and quick. Another thing that I love about the Kadus Demi-Permanent Hair Color is that it has an amazing technology called Vibrancy microspheres that I like to break that name into 3 parts: Vita, flexion, and microspheres. Vita, because the color for Kadus Professional is very vibrant. Flexion, because the color molecules of this color is very flexible. So it is able to go deep into the cortex of the hair and put those molecules in there. And you know how many? You could fit into one hair strand up to 500 trillion molecules of colors. Therefore, you're going to get really vibrant results. For those of you who are wondering, how much gray coverage does the demi-permanent covers? The demi-permanent hair color covers up to 50% gray. So this is great for someone who wants to color their hair and wants their gray to look like if they were a highlight. That's great for that. It's great for gentlemen who don't want to color their hair very strong, so they want a nice blend, kind of like to camouflage their gray. That's what I do. And there you have it. We already have our 6 foils. And then the next step to create this look, it's to go in. Let me just clip these out of the way. I hope you guys are enjoying this amazing technique. And all you have to do now is just apply my second formula, which is the 8CG, the demi-permanent hair color. And one of the ways that you can identify Kadus demi-permanent hair color, it's by the color of the box and the tube as well. They are orange. Our permanent hair color has a purple box, so you'll be able to identify really quickly. And I'm going to be using the 8CG, which is a level 8 copper gold, meaning a light copper gold blonde. Okay, I'm going to apply this from root to ends all over the remaining hair. And as you can see, I am applying here using the hair. The hair is dry, but you can also apply this color on towel dry hair. Let me find another one of my clips around here. Really quickly, I lost it. Oh, there you go. And I'm just gonna clip this hair to the side so that you can see how this creamy consistency, it's very easy to apply. If you want to have the most vibrancy, I recommend that you do it on dry hair. If you want it to be more powerful, like for example, if I wanted to cancel unwanted warm tones and I do it on towel dry hair, it is going to cancel and it's going to be very beautiful, but it'll be the cancellation or neutralization would be a little less than if you do it on dry hair. I hope that makes sense. And so I'm doing it on dry hair and I am applying from root to ends. And this is a very, very easy to work with product. You can also use this product for when you are wanting to maybe have some low lights. Because remember, since it's an ammonia-free color, it is only going to deposit. It's not going to lift. So if you want to do some soft low lights, you can do so. Or if I wanted, instead of applying this color from root to end, I could go ahead and do some baby lines using the same formula, and that would give it more of a three-dimensional look. And I just want to be able to inspire you guys to, you know, use the Kadus permanent hair color in a safe and easy way, but also be creative. It
Luis,
has
we have
a nice.
question. Luis, do we have
Yes,
time
of
for a
course.
question? I know you love your questions, and we've got plenty coming in. First of all,
Oh, thank you.
Cheryl would actually like to know, are the demi colors creamy like the permanent colors?
That is a great question. Thank you so much. Actually, the demi permanent hair color does have a creamy consistency, but if we compare it to the permanent color, I would say that it's less creamy. The permanent hair color has more of a little bit of a thicker feeling to it, if you will. And that is because if you want to use permanent hair color, you would use a bowl and brush, but the demi-permanent hair color gives you the ability not only to use it with bowl and brush, but also with a bottle application.
Wow, thank you, Louise. Those are great, great benefits. Thank you so much. Cheryl, I hope we answered your question.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that. You know, I love great questions. And you know, obviously, because of timing purposes, I am not going to complete the whole head, but I just want you guys to have the idea of how I created this look that I am about to show you right now, as soon as I do at least this quadrant. Right, there you go. Let's get that hair out of the way. Another thing that I love about the Kadus demi-permanent hair colors is that it's very easy to read or to understand. I will show you right now what I'm talking about. When you see the box or the colors, you will see that they have the number first, which is the level of lightness or darkness. So for example, this is a level 8, so this is a light blonde, but I used a level 5 to create the accent, the pop of color. I actually diluted it a little bit with the clear tone just because I don't want it to be a very dark. I wanted to enhance instead of make a contrast. And let me show you how that looks really quickly. So when you're looking at our hair color line, you will see the number, which give you the level of lightness or darkness. Then you will see the C, because this is a copper gold. So the C is the primary color, and the G is the secondary color. And I hope that that makes sense. Are you ready to see the final result, guys? Yes? Perfect. Let me show you how this looks. How do you like it, guys? Oh my God. As you can see, of course, I did a little haircut. I did a little bit of, you know, I zhuzhed it up a little bit for you guys. But you can totally see that we used a triangular shape when we apply this. And look how it looks on this beautiful, beautiful model here, Brittany. The HCG, which is a light blonde copper gold, peeks through very beautiful. This is a color that it really enhanced the skin tone of the mannequin head. I love the violet. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for those comments. And I hope that you're able to grasp what this looks like. It looks very, very beautiful. And just let me just show you how you can find how I apply the color. So we did a triangular shape, right? Let's recap a little bit. In the beginning, we had this beautiful model. She came in with a level 8 a very natural, warm blonde. And we decided to enhance the warmness of it. So I applied this copper gold tone to it that looks very beautiful. And then we created a triangular shape on the top of the head, as you can see here, very clearly. Let me see if I can touch the screen so that it kind of like shows a little better. There you go. And so that is the triangular shape. And you see how I did back-to-back foils. And then, of course, we didn't reach all the way down. So if you go down, you will see the copper gold as well. So if we play with this beautiful model's hair, you will see that it's a multi-dimensional, that she can hide it if she uses some of that hair that was tucked in the triangle. But if she wants to show it after work or something, she could just flip it to the side or do whatever she wants. And there you have it. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about really quickly, it's about what to do after you color the hair. So this process for 20 minutes, and then I went ahead and I washed, let me just leave her here so that you can continue to see her. And I washed with our Color Vibrancy Shampoo. And this is the shampoo that is great for color treated hair so that it locks those color molecules in for long lasting results. After that, I use the amazing post color treatment. And you might be thinking what the post color treatment does. This is a post color treatment. It's a product that you use after you apply color to neutralize the oxidization of the color. So it levels the pH and it locks those color molecules in there. This you can apply on towel, clean towel, dry hair, and you could leave it 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how much time you have behind the chair. And then you just rinse it and you are ready to style. Tonight for my styling, what I did is that I used the amazing velvet oil from Kadus Professional. Hopefully you can see that there. This is an amazing 100% pure organ oil. I applied that on towel dry hair, and then I just did a subtle blowout because I wanted to look a little tousled. And this is the final result. I hope you guys liked it and loved it. I had a great time doing it for you guys.
Luis, you're not
last.
done. We have a question.
Of course.
We have a question coming in from Fatima. I believe she's part of the Oval Academy, and she wanted to know way back when you started with those foils, how close were you actually getting to the root with the foils when you were applying your color?
That's a great question. Well, you know what? I actually went really close to the root because I wanted to have more of a strong, as you can see here, kind of like contrast, but a contrast that enhanced the color. So I went right from the root, but you can also do kind of like a balayage technique if you wanted. If you didn't want it to go all the way towards the root, you can definitely personalize it to your liking. So you are the artist and you're able to do what you want. I'm just here to inspire you. But I did when, as you can see here, I went all the way to the root. Let me show that a little better. There you go.
Awesome, Luis. Thank you so much for your segment. It was wonderful. I'm sure everybody learned so much from you. Let's go ahead and head back over to Jessica.
Thank you, Luis, for your creative approach and pro tips using the Kadus Professional Demi-Permanent line. Now let's hear from another Kadus Professional color artist, Toni Garcia-Jackson. Toni will also use the highlighted mannequin as a starting point, but in her demo, Toni will enhance the Lighten mannequin head with the Kadus permanent hair color. Toni, please show us how it's done. Over to you.
Hey guys, Toni Garcia-Jackson here. I am coming to you from Philadelphia. Very excited to be here with you guys, and I want to say thank you to Marlo Beauty. And so let's get right into it. So this mannequin started off as a level 9. And the goal here for this look is to take a summer look and transition it to fall. So we have clients that are coming, you know, they have very light highlights or the color is pretty brassy. And what we're gonna do is take it from warm to cool. So we're working with a level 9 mannequin. Now, in the interest of time, I did go in and do my root shadow or base formula. And for that, I used the Kadus Demi-Permanent Hair Color 7N. Can you guys see that? And I used the 7N Demi-Permanent with a 6-volume developer. And I did mix that at a ratio of 1 to 2. So I went through the mannequin and applied the 7N from the scalp up maybe to about 2 to 3 inches of regrowth, just so that I could get, you know, so that we would not waste time doing that. Now, if you're gonna do this in the salon, I think it is a good idea to do the base formula first, and then go ahead and rinse and shampoo, and then come back, towel dry it, and get ready to use your toners for the ends. So now, for the colors that I'm using for the end, I'm gonna be using 3 formulas. I'm gonna be using Kadus Permanent Hair Color 8 CEV, which is a level 8. CE stands for Cendré Violet. So it's a cool, sort of cool blonde with a violet undertone. And then also I'm going to be using 8 GP. So I am going to be putting a little bit of warmth back in. So I'm going to use the level 8 gold pearl. And then finally, I'm going to use 10 VR, which is a level 10 violet red. Okay, so those are my 3 formulas, and I have them all mixed, and I'm mixing. I've used the 13 volume developer with each of the permanent hair colors, and I mixed it at a ratio of 1 to 1. All right, so now let's talk about the sectioning really quick. Here is how you will section your mannequin or your client if you're doing a client. So I've divided the head from ear to ear. We have 2 sections below, a triangular section above, another section here, really above the triangular and into the crown. And then that divides these 2 sections here. Don't worry about if you don't get it, because we will have the picture up on Marlo Beauty, and this is how the front goes. Okay. Also, we are going to have this diagram up on Marlo's Beauty so that you can see exactly how to place the foils and how to do the formula. So I'm going to start with the front. Okay, so I have the front already sectioned, and I'm going to start by doing slices. So this whole front section I'm going to slice first. And I'm working with the front section because I want to make sure that I get the money piece in the hair, and that I take time really making sure that I have it in there and that it looks good and that it's processing. So I'm just going to clip this hair out of the way, and I'm going to be using fine slices. And I think fine slices is probably the key word of today. We want to make sure that we're using fine sections so that we can get good and even saturation. Okay, so I'm going to start with my first formula, which I'm going to use 10 VR, which is the Kadus Permanent Hair Color Level 10 Violet Red, and I place my foil right under. Now, in terms of your sectioning, my suggestion would be to section either or part it down the middle, or where the person parts their hair, to make sure that you can get the money piece right in the place where they want to see it. Okay, then I'm going to apply my 10 VR right below my 7N where I did my root shadow. So I'm going to apply it using, again, fine sections, good and even saturation, and really make sure that I'm saturating the product all the way through. Now, when I'm choosing colors, I'm trying to create a little bit of contrast. So that's the one reason why I'm using the 10VR to really, you know, neutralize any of the gold tones that may be left in the hair. And then I don't want to completely wash it out. So that's why I'm putting some of the gold, 8 gold pearl in to also just give it a little bit of warmth, you know, as I am working through my sections. And then finally, I'm adding another level 8, but a cooler level 8. So my gold is almost sandwiched in between the 2 cooler shades. Okay, so I'm gonna take my next section, and my sections are a little bit on the diagonal so that I can create softness and movement with the hair color. And now I'm gonna use a different color foil. In this foil, I'm using my 8G Gold Pearl. So I'm gonna start this right below my section where I applied my 7N. And as you can see, my root shadow is from here and it goes, you know, a little bit about 3/4 of the way down, or 2/4 of the way down. So I'm gonna apply it here. Making sure that, again, you get good and even saturation. And also, you want to go back up to where that line of demarcation is and kind of turn your brush slightly and just make sure that you feather in that color so you have a nice smooth transition or movement from dark to light. Okay, and then I'm also going to do a double fold because there are areas up here at the top where I don't have any color, and I don't want to place any of the color that's on the ends on my root formula because that would totally destroy it.
Toni,
Okay, so
can I ask for 1 second, Toni?
Sure.
Toni, we have a lot of questions, a lot of comments coming in when you mentioned my, and some of the students that are watching, you would like to know, how much would you charge just for a money piece alone?
So that's a great question. Thank you for that question. I don't know that you ever just do a money piece. So let me start by saying that. So whenever you're doing a color, it would include a technique and as well as the money piece. Even if the hair color is pretty good, you do want to do something else to the hair because I don't know that you can charge just for a money piece. So a lot of it depends on your location, where you live, your experience, and what you charge for other services. So a service like this could start at up around $125 and go up depending on the place that you live and the clients that you serve in the salon. So hopefully that's helpful. I can't really answer that question, but hopefully that gives you some idea. I think to just charge for just a money piece might cheapen the service altogether.
Great.
So I would try
so
to
much.
add other services with it.
Great, thank you. Do we have time for one more question? They're coming in, Toni.
Okay, awesome.
Another question. Can you apply the permanent color to damp hair or only dry?
Certainly. So to answer that question, yes, you can apply the color to damp hair. If I were in the salon, I would probably apply the 7N first and then rinse and shampoo it. I would towel blot it really well. And then I would go in and apply my, my toners. Now you do have the option to blow dry it or rough dry it, but sometimes that's not always necessary. So hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for that question.
It does, thank you so much.
Okay, now I'm going in with my final formula. This is the 8CEV, the 8 Cendré Violet. So this is a very cool medium blonde. And that would complete this section. Now, because I can't do the whole technique, everything that I do to one side is the same exact thing that I'm going to do to the other side. So this is how you would do the front. So you would do your back to your slices back to back, alternating your formula. So 10 VR, 8 GP, 8 CEV. And then it would just start over again. The next foil would be 10 VR, then 8 GP, then 8 CEV. Okay, so that's how you would do that. And we would do that all along the hairline. All right, so now what I want to do is move to the back section. Okay, so here, the back section is going to be done slightly different. So I'm right here. And I really want to talk about these letters right here in this little section, P-O-D. You might be wondering what that is, but I'm going to ask you to hold on for just a second. All right, so now I'm going to start with diagonal back sections. Again, using a very fine slice. And then I'm going to just clip this hair up and out of the way. And I'm going to start with my 10 VR. Okay, so I'm going to, now when you're doing your fine sections are also really important, because if you have too much hair in the foil, then what'll happen is you won't, it's less likely that you'll get good and even saturation. You don't want to do all this work, you know, rushing, and then you don't, you're not applying all the product all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to turn my brush slightly to make sure that I'm blending in that color so I have a nice transition from dark to light. Okay, then I'm going to fold it. And then I would start with my next formula. Okay, and so then next would be my 8 GP. The other thing that you can do is when you're putting in your base color, it's a great idea to apply your base color at different sections along the hair. So in other words, you don't want to, when you're doing your base formula, to place it all, let's say, a ½ an inch from the scalp area. You might want to do some a ½ an inch. You might want to do some 3 inches, maybe a few sections 4 inches, because this makes it more visually interesting and it won't look sort of matchy-matchy. We want to make this color look natural and organic, like the sun kind of colored it lightly and her regrowth came in naturally. That's the idea that we're looking for. So just keep that in mind when you do your base formula. Some people apply the base formula and the toners all at the same time. And sometimes I will do that depending on the length of the hair and or the density. If there's not a lot and I can do it relatively quickly, then I will. But if the hair is long and it's dense, then you kind of want to do the base formula first and then go in and do your toners. Okay. So now I've applied my 8 GP, and again, the colored foils really help me stay organized so I know what Kadus formula is in which one. Now when you're using the Kadus permanent hair color line, you have many options in terms of the developer. So like I mentioned earlier, I mixed all of these colors with the 13 volume developer, but we also have 20, 30, and 40 volume. And so which volume you use kind of depends on the situation that you're working with, you know, so that'll help you determine. If you want more lift, then you'll use 30 or 40 volume. If you're looking for a little bit of lift and deposit, then you'll use the 20 volume. And if you're looking for more deposit, then your choices are 6 and 13. Mostly when you're using the permanent colors though, most stylists are using 20 volume and then 13 or 6 more for more creative type color applications. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my next foil. And then we're gonna talk about that POD. So if you remember on the diagram, I had the letters POD, which stand for pocket of dimension. Because what I don't want to do is slice through this whole technique. So there are areas in the hair where I'm just going to leave it as is, meaning that I won't do any toner on that section. Now, how much of a pocket of dimension you leave kind of depends on the consultation and what you and the client discuss, okay? The bigger pocket of dimension, you know, depending on what it means, what the hair color is, could be a larger pocket of depth. Or if the hair is light and bright, it could be a larger pocket of lightness. So it could be a POD or a POL, okay? So I'm gonna take a section, and for this section, I'm only gonna do maybe about 1/4 of an inch, and that is gonna be my pocket of dimension or my pocket of lightness. So I'm not gonna do anything, I'm gonna leave that. Okay, so that's how we do that section. This section above this one is a little bit slightly different. And I'm gonna just talk through that, and then I'm gonna show you the finished look. Okay, can you see that right there? So we're right here in this section. And remember, don't worry about, you know, trying to take a picture of this. This will be up on the Marlo site so that you can see exactly where the color placement is and what the formulas are. Okay, so I'm gonna start here. This is a triangle. So I'm gonna start by doing a horizontal slice right through my section. And here, what I'm gonna do is a diffused slice. So I'm gonna take my slice, excuse me, and I'm going to push some of the hair towards the scalp. Now, here's the key with diffusing a slice. You don't want to, you want to be very mindful about how much you're diffusing, okay? And I'm doing, let me just do it again, maybe about 25% of my section that I'm going to diffuse. If you are a person that colors really quick or slices through hair very quick and you diffuse a whole lot of hair, what'll happen is there's nothing left to color. So you want to be mindful about over diffusing the section, okay? So I'm going to do about 25. And here's the thing, the more you diffuse, the more lightness you will create if you're leaving lightness, or the more depth you will create, depending on how much you diffuse. So in other words, if the hair is dark and you are diffusing a lot of it, then you're going to have more depth in your overall design. If you are, if the hair is light and the more you diffuse, you're going to have more lightness in your overall design. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply my foil right under my section. And the one thing that I like to do when I'm diffusing is I'm going to just move that hair up off of the foil, because the worst thing to do is to color it. That would defeat the whole purpose of the diffusing. And then I'm going to apply my toner. Again, being mindful of the part of the hair that I added the 7 into, my base color formula.
Toni, we have a question since you're right in the middle of the application. Hair by Andigo asked, a lot of times I tone outside of foils. Can you explain the benefits of foiling this way? Do the colors bleed? And would plastic or mesh sheets work as well?
Yes, so great question. Thank you so much for that question. You could use plastic, you could use mesh sheets, you can use whatever medium works best for you. I'm using the foils because I want to isolate this hair from the other hair that has another formula. It also helps me to stay on track. So I know that after the green one comes my silver. So I am, you know, sometimes when you're in a salon, you get a little bit, you know, it's very easy to get distracted and you don't know what was your last formula. So the foils help me to stay on track in terms of my color, and also just to isolate the hair and incubate the foil at the same time. Thank you for that question. That was a good one.
Awesome, Toni. Makes perfect sense.
Oh, okay, so let me just recap. So what we did here is I started off with my money piece, and I did a diagonal, sort of diagonal back foil where I am doing a multi-dimensional blonding. I have my 10VR permanent color by Kadus, and that's mixed at a 1-to-1 ratio with 13 volume developer. And then in this foil, I use my the Kadus Permanent Hair Color 8 GP with the 13 volume developer, also at a 1-to-1 ratio. And then here in this foil is the 8 CEV. These are all colors that are going to transition a warm summer look into a nice, beautiful fall, cool color. And remember that I don't want to wash this hair color out, so I did foil in some of the 8 Gold Pearl just to kind of balance the overall look. Then we came here and the same thing. I'm doing diagonal back slices, again for softness and movement. And the same thing, I'm doing the 10 VR, then my 8 GP and the 8 CEV. And then finally, I moved up to this middle section and I'm diffusing. And the reason why I'm diffusing this is because I am trying to create, I would like for the hair color to look more visually interesting by not weaving the colors all the way through. I also forgot to mention that in this section, we're leaving a pocket of depth, meaning there's going to be a section there where I'm not going to change the color at all. I'm just going to leave it and let that color, the natural color, kind of be interweaved into the overall look. All right, so let me show you what the finish looks like. Okay, here we go with the finished look. And you can see, you know, how beautiful and soft the color looks. This is the messy beach wave look that the clients love. And I did just kind of wand this very loosely, but I really want you to be able to see how beautiful and soft. And although the colors are cool, she's not completely washed out. You see some of that, some of the gold tones that are interweaved into the hair color. And then remember, I did the 7N at the base. And this is what I remember I was telling you, that you want to bring it down at different parts of the hair. You know, some sections you may leave it longer, and then other areas you might bring your base or root formula a little bit higher towards the scalp. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this technique and you take it and make it your own. You can swap, you know, switch out the colors and, you know, just kind of have fun with it. Are there any other questions?
Hey, Toni, Elsa here. No, actually, it looks like you have answered every single person's question. We've got Kadus answering question. We've got Caroline and Luis supporting you. So thank you so much for this segment. Jessica, it's been a minute.
Thanks, Toni. That was incredible work from all of the Kadus color artists tonight. We do have room and time for more questions, so please ask them away in the comment box. Also, take out your cell phones and take a photo of our IG handles. Please connect with us and we would love to follow you back. Send us a message and let's keep this party going. Thank you and good night from Kadus Professional and Marlo Beauty Supply.